Welcome to Around the World in 80 Bottles. I'm Emily Garrison, and today we're going to be in the Burgundy region of France, where we're going to cook a very classic dish, coq au vin. I've always wanted to be able to make this dish, and it seems very complicated on first glance, but the trick to this is it's not so much difficult as it is methodical. As long as you carefully follow the instructions, it's not going to be hard to prepare, and it's definitely worth the effort. So what we're going to do for our first step is we're going to prepare the onions. We're going to use pearl onions, which are perfect and of course necessary anytime you make this dish, and we're going to cut off just the very base of it and put a little X into the onion itself. This is going to make it really easy for the skin to peel off. This looks like it's an added step, but it actually is going to save you a lot of time in the long run. So I'm going to boil about 2 cups of water, and I'm going to drop about 26 of these guys in there. I'm going to blanch it for just a minute or two, and then I'm going to strain it into a colander. Now what you'll find once you do that is that the skin will peel right off. It's the easiest thing in the world. There you have it. So now you're going to peel all those off, put them in a bowl and set them aside. And we're going to start with bacon, lardons, or salt pork. Now salt pork or lardons are traditional, but they're not always available. So bacon is a good backup. And what you're going to want to do if you get bacon is get the thickest that you can possibly get. Cut your bacon into as thick of a dice as you can. We're going to cook that down with a little bit of water, just long enough to evaporate the water and get the bacon crisp. The reason you want to add the water is otherwise the bacon gets too crisp too well and you don't get the good seasoning, because the bacon that we start with is what's going to flavor everything else that we put in the pan after it. You can put this in a Dutch oven or a big saute pan. I use one Dutch oven or brazier and use the same pan for the entire recipe. So we're going to cook the bacon down. We're going to remove that, set it aside, and then we're going to cook our pearl onions. And the pearl onions, you just want to get those nice and brown, and then we'll move on to our chicken. And the chicken is very easy to prepare because you're only going to use flour. So you can either take a bag and toss that till everything gets nicely coated, or I just use a bowl and roll it in there, and I just dust it really nice and lightly. So what we're going to do is start to saute that. Now it's very important that you don't crowd your pan. So if you are not using a big enough pan for all 4 of the thighs to be separated, then you can do them in batches. And you want to get these nice and golden brown on both sides. So your bacon is going to be nice and crispy. Your pearl onions are going to be lovely and brown. And after we do our chicken, we're also going to cook our mushrooms. Now traditionally you would use button mushrooms, but I use the baby portabellas because I like the flavor a little bit better. And then those are going to get nice and wilted. You're going to cook them just long enough where they start to sweat. So once we do these steps and the chicken is brown and the mushrooms are brown, everything's ready to go, we're actually going to take our mushrooms, our onions, and our bacon, transfer these into an airtight container and put them away until tomorrow. Coq au vin, if you do it the correct way, it's a 2-step process because you want the chicken to really marinate in all the good flavors that we have. At this point, we've browned our chicken, and keep in mind you're not having to cook the chicken all the way through. You just want to brown the skin to add some flavor. We're going to pull that out of our pan, do our mushrooms, and then you want to get rid of any extra fat left in the pan. I don't seem to get more than about a tablespoon, so it's just a minimal amount, but go ahead and get that out. And then we're going to deglaze the pan. And I'm going to use a new wine that I've found that's very affordable and has a lighter but rustic style to it. So it's similar to Pinot Noir, but you can also use a Pinot Noir. And then, after all, that's what we're going to serve it with. And then we're going to add a few other things to our pot to put it away overnight. So we've got stock and tomato, and then we've got some vegetables. Now all these vegetables are gonna go away once we pull the chicken out of the refrigerator tomorrow, so they don't have to be chopped in any particular way. I actually take my onion and just chop it into a couple pieces. Thyme sprigs, you can throw them right in there. Basically gonna quarter the carrots. Just a very, very rough chop. The idea is to get them in there for flavor. They don't have to be made in any certain way. I've already, of course, rinsed my carrots and my celery. And we're just gonna throw those right in there. And it'll give it some flavor as it marinates overnight. Your garlic doesn't have to be minced. You just want to crush it. So I just use my blade on my knife so that all that flavor of the garlic can come out. And if you have a whole bay leaf, you can use that. And if you don't have a whole one, I just throw a few pieces in there. You're going to strain it after all. We're going to put the chicken back in there, put the full rest of our 2 bottles of wine, and then you're going to let it refrigerate overnight. Now you could obviously make this dish in the morning and then serve it at night. I think it has more flavor when you leave it longer. It just really gets that great texture. It makes it more where it'll fall off the bone. But also, I think it's great to have some of the prep work out of the way, so the day that you're actually having people over and want to serve this, you don't have to spend all your time cutting up things and braising and browning. You can simply pop it in the oven and then get ready for your company. Now, we have let this sit overnight, cooked it down for 2.5 hours, pulled it out, gone through a colander. What I did was take the chicken out and poured everything else through a colander. So it took out the bay leaf, the thyme, all the onions and carrots. You remember me saying that it doesn't really matter how you chop it because it's all going away. Then we took the sauce and cooked it down till it took about 1/3 out, which was about half an hour. And then we added in all those wonderful pearl onions, bacon, and mushrooms. Cooked it about 15 more minutes, put the chicken back in. And we kept the chicken hot the whole time. So we now have our finished product. And simple enough to serve. I'm gonna make sure you get a piece of chicken on the plate. Get some of those beautiful vegetables. Some people serve this over noodles, some people do potatoes. You can serve this any way you'd like, but I think you will enjoy this a lot. And if you want the definition of going to France without leaving your kitchen, even if you smell this, it is like going somewhere else. And of course, because this is a very classic Burgundian dish, we are serving this with Marc Colin Remy, and it is a Sainte-Bonne Premier Cru. So a wonderful Pinot Noir with a wonderful dish from Burgundy, and I hope you'll enjoy it. And join me next time on Around the World in 80 Bottles. Cheers!